Today we're going to be showing you how to install our new Stinger 2-in-1 high performance system for the Royal Enfield Interceptor. I've actually taken the old system off there. Well, I've actually had this system on and I've took it off just to basically show you how to put it back on. We've actually chopped the old original system up because I wanted to see what was inside the front pipes, and they've actually got very restrictive narrow gauge pipes inside and a catalytic converter halfway up, and this is why you can't get high performance above about 49 horsepower with the standard front pipes, and hence we designed this system with a crossover that gives much better mid-range torque and top-end power and a nice sound. Big bonus with this system is weight. The standard silencers each weigh 5.2 kilos each. This whole exhaust system, including all the fittings, weighs 4.3 kilos, the whole system. So saving on the whole weight saving in total is about 14 kilos off the bike, which is a massive amount of saving weight off the bike. You can really feel the difference, and also the extra performance on it. It feels like a completely different motorcycle, as well as sounding like a completely different motorcycle. There's no way you can transform a bike as easily and cheaply as by putting this exhaust system on this bike. And if you don't believe me, we'll happily give you your money back. So, this is what you get for your money. You get a two-piece left-hand pipe. It's made in two pieces so you can install it. It's actually very tight fit onto the left-hand side of the engine. You'll see more of that in a moment. And that comes with a proper sealed joint and clamp in it. Obviously a right-hand front pipe. You get a collector box. Now this is where sort of the clever design comes into it. I don't know if you can see inside there, because this exhaust's actually been run and it's a bit carbony inside, a bit black, but there's actually an absorption baffle all the way along this section of the centre section. Now this is something we learnt on the 865 Triumphs as a way of effectively having a long silencer with having a short silencer on the bike. Interestingly, when we sort of leaked a few photographs of this when we made the prototype last August, I think it was, a few of them got on the internet, and next thing, an exhaust system very similar looking to this popped up in India. Now it had very sticky out front pipes on it and a very long silencer. Now obviously they didn't realise this trick in the centre section to reduce the noise, and it does reduce the noise drastically. And to get the noise down, they had to fit a silencer that was about this long, whereas ours is obviously much shorter and lighter. Anyway, getting back to fitting it, like I say, once you've taken the exhaust system off, there's only one or two little points to note when you take the old system off. First of all, you may not realise when you take this heat shield off, it actually hooks onto the front pipe, and you've got a nut behind that you may not spot. So you actually need to take this nut off the back and take the heat shield off completely. It hooks off to the front, otherwise you'll not be able to get the silencer off. But I'm sure you'll figure that one out. And on the front pipes, obviously got lambda sensors, or O2 sensors, some people call them, on the front pipes. Now you'll need to unscrew these before you can take the exhaust system off fully. Now what I normally do, you can disconnect them here, there's a plug here, but it's very awkward to get to, probably easier if you take the horns off. But I've fitted hundreds of exhaust systems of these in Triumphs, and they only go in a couple of threads, so you can, if you could give them about 3 full twists, or you just unscrew them and take them out, and give them about 3 full twists before you put them back in, that'll work fine. Like I say, I've never ever damaged one yet. They're pretty robust because they're well crimped on here. It's up to you, you can do it that way. It's a big time saver, or you can mess about taking the plugs off. One important point when you take these off, make sure you keep them marked or positioned so they're left and right. Don't get them mixed up either side. If you do, the bike will not run properly and you'll get a fault light on, because it'll be adjusting the fuel for the wrong cylinder. Okay, so like I say, I'll just hook them up there out the way so you can't really go wrong. So we'll get on and start fitting it. So the system's fully rubber mounted, so you won't get any stress fractures or vibration problems. Now we have a centre adjustable mount that we use, because the original exhaust system has a sliding mount on it. to compensate for inaccuracies in the frame. And we have found that every bike varies on this slotted mount, so we've incorporated an adjustable mount in here as well to accommodate for any manufacturing imperfections. Now this has a rubber mount and you use the standard stepped bolt that came out of your original exhaust system. You simply put that in there. Sometimes it's actually a bit better if you just put a real lube on it. And that just mounts back into the original mid-mountain section there with the slotted arm facing rearwards. Now don't tighten that up just yet, just nip it up. So we're going to start fitting the front pipes now. Now you get a new gasket in the kit, and there's a new gasket for this joint here as well. Make sure when you put this on that it's pushed in all the way down to the bottom of the slots, and you assemble the clamp so the bolt head is at the front like that, just so you can get in to tighten it. But I'll put the other front pipe on first. Yeah, so you need to get that in there. Now this can be a bit of a swine and drop out as you're doing it, so I normally put a bit of grease or something just to hold it in there, or a bit of silicone or exhaust paste or something like that. It's not to seal it, it's just to hold it in its groove there and stop it dropping out. So I'll do that now. So like I say, that's only to hold it in place while you manoeuvre this in. Now this can be a bit of a fiddle. Now it has two holes in the flange. It's got a slotted hole and a round hole, and you need to fit the round hole to the top. You fit it the opposite way first, and then you can rotate it around to where you want to be before you put the nuts on. Right, now you don't tighten these nuts up at this stage, you just put them on finger tight. Basically just enough to keep the gasket in place. This is very important because what happens if you start to tighten these up now, so you start to wind these in like that wildly, what happens is because it's got a crush gasket in, so I can just feel it on the edge of the flange there, just catching so it's not going to jump out of the seat. You can see it's well slack there. What happens if you tighten this up now, because it's got a crush gasket in which is about 4 or 5 millimeters thick, if you tighten it, it won't go down evenly. It'll go down one side or the other, or top and bottom, and it's enough to throw the pipe out maybe 15-20 millimeters at the end, so it's very important that you don't tighten that up as yet. So next, put about 3 full turns of anti-clockwise twist on this first. And then screw it in. Tighten that up there, 14mm spanner. Right, so we'll put the other side on now. So like I say, put your clamp on, but just put it on loose at the moment. Put your gasket in, gently push it in so you don't damage it. If you find it's tight on the other pipe, just bend these petals out slightly with a pair of pliers and then push it back in again. And it's I'll also put just a tiny smear of copper grease on there just to help it slide into place. That's it. So I've got that foot pushed fully home, and what I'm going to do is just nip the clamp up a little bit to stop it sliding off. And you see the importance of getting the clamp on the right way. If you've got it too straight, the bolt at the back will catch the cylinder head fins, and if you'll also find it hard to get the spanner in, but you can get a combination spanner in just quite easily underneath the oil cooler there. Just tighten it up just enough so it's gotten a grip on it slightly, but you can still move it about. Right, next we need the same again with the right hand pipe. Again, just a dot of grease on it to hold it in place. And you, like I say, you can use virtually anything that's sticky because it's just going to burn off anyway once the engine starts to run. You'll get a bit of smoke out the exhaust, but it's nothing to worry about. So when you put it on, this is the way it goes. The left hand pipe comes out and goes over the top, and the right hand pipe ducks underneath like that. And again, slotted hole to the bottom and the round hole to the top. Okay, normally just got to wiggle it a bit to get the gasket, the seat and the flange to seat in place properly. Pop your bolts on, but don't fully tighten them up, just let them up a bit to take up the slack. Again, you've got plenty of movement on there, that's what you're looking for. 3 full turns of anti-clockwise twist. Get that up. Now, put the centre section on. Now you notice these are just a push fit, and what this whole system's designed like a race system. It's a heat expansion seal system. You may get a little chuff of smoke or black soot out of here when the engine's cold, but what happens is because the hottest part of the exhaust is at the engine and the temperature slowly drops as it goes down, you get more heat expansion from the front to the rear. So each pipe is fitted into the side of the next section down the line. Therefore this section gets hotter than this section and it expands more and it seals the gap. So after a couple of minutes of running, these actually seal themselves. But they're not so tight as that it can't move around, hence it makes a better fit, and you don't have problems with stress fracturing, which you can get on stainless steel systems that are rigidly mounted and have no flex in them. So you hook your springs on. There's a central hook underneath there. Now they should be tight, not crazily tight, just tight enough that there's tension in the spring. If you feel they're a bit too slack, simply get a pair of pliers and bend each of those clips, and just till you've got enough tension on. Like I say, it shouldn't be crazy tight, just have a little bit of tension on it all the time. Next we put on the silencer. Now the silencer mounts to the original rubber mounting on the back here. Now I know this bike hasn't got rear pegs on, but you'll see there's loads of clearance for passenger foot pegs and passenger feet on there, because the silencer is much smaller than the original. Now again, this is quite a tight fit on here, and you might want to put some lube on it. That seems to be good. Just make sure it goes on all the way. If you're not sure, just put a little marker pen mark on there to see what it's like fully on off the bike, and then that makes sure you've got it on all the way. But you'll normally find if you can't get the bolt in the back, you've got an issue where it hasn't gone on all the way. So slip your bolt and nut back on there. Again, just loose for the moment. And as you'll see, that you push the exhaust system in, it matches up with the hole there. So you get a small bolt with a washer. So again, you don't fully tighten it. So you need to put the spring from the centre section to the silencer on. Now it's a bit awkward because we've designed it so you can't see it. It's tucked away right underneath under the bike. And I normally do this by feel almost. There you go. So if you're doing that, always wear eye protection just in case one flies off and hits in the eye. So now what we do is we tighten the exhaust from the rear to the front. So we tighten the rear mounting first. And we can fully tighten this now because it's a rubber mounting and it will have a certain amount of give in it. So now the exhaust is all in place, you just tighten the centre mount up and tighten the small M8 bolt into the slotted hole up from behind. And now we can finally tighten the front pipes up. Do them evenly top and bottom so they pull in. And you don't need to go crazy with these, just nip them. Otherwise you'll crush the gasket to oblivion. If you find it does leak, you can just give them another extra nip, but invariably the gasket does its job and nips it up properly. So do the same on the other side. Now you can torque these up to 18 Newton meters, but I prefer just to feel them the way they go into the gasket. And what I'll do is I'll run the bike, let it fully cool down, and I'll just come back and give them a nip once everything's settled down. Now we just need to nip the clamp up there now. 10mm spanner. And that's it, that's basically the whole system on. So all we need now to do is start it up and test it. And check for leaks. So we get asked a lot about when you change the exhaust system on a bike. This bike's also got a high flow air filter on it and an S&S camshaft in it as well, but most people won't have that. Do I need to remap my bike? Basic answer is no. We've found these bikes run fine on the stock mapping. S&S will sell you a Power Commander, Power Commander will sell you a Power Commander, you can get a Powertronic one as well from India. Really, we've found for the cost of them you don't gain that much. The bikes will run fine with standard ECU settings. All you do is let the ECU auto adjust. Basically, start the bike up from fully cold, not like I've just done it there because it's warm now. Let it stand overnight, start it up, but don't rev it up. Just let it tick over, go through its whole warm-up cycle, go away and leave it for about 15 minutes, ticking over, turn it off, then take it for a varied ride, and the bike will then reprogram and fine-tune to the new settings. Yes, like I say, you probably get, if you're looking for the absolute ultimate, you can retune it, give it a bit more advance, a bit more fuel, even extend the rev limiter, but you don't need to do that. That's an option. The bike runs perfectly safe. This bike has done over 2,000 miles with this exhaust system on now. Extensive dyno runs. You find that the bike is now much more responsive. You've got much more mid-range torque. With standard cam in, you get 55 pounds-foot mid-range and 53 brake horsepower at the rear wheel, which feels pretty quick. And with the S&S cam in, you lose a little bit of torque, but you get 57 brake horsepower at the rear wheel. But we'll put the dyno sheets on and you can see that for yourself. These exhausts are available now on our web shop, very keenly priced. They come with a lifetime warranty. That is conditional on certain things, but they come with a full 12-month manufacturer-backed warranty as well. We carry spare parts for them. We've been going for a lot of years. We're not going to be here today and gone tomorrow. We're also here to give you any technical advice as well if you have any problems with it. But I'm sure you'll agree that the look of the bike is completely changed. The performance difference is amazing. But what the biggest difference is the weight on the bike. It's gone from feeling like a heavyweight bike to a mid-size bike now when you ride it. Handling's improved, acceleration's improved, and just the way the bike is for moving around, it feels much lighter than even this bike, which has been heavily lightened. This Royal Enfield just feels way lighter. I haven't actually got around to putting them on the scales, but I've got a feeling this is probably about 15 kilos lighter than a lightened Bonneville. So thanks for now. Keep watching. There'll be a lot more little videos with tips, new parts coming out. Just keep an eye on us on YouTube. Thanks for now. Bye.